The following is a text exchange which occurred between brothers on July 15th, 2021. 10:11 p.m. Freeze-dried Skittles! Freeze-dried Skittles! Freeze-dried Skittles! Candy has changed so much in our lifetimes. Anything is possible.
Yeah, I looked them up. They were $10 on Amazon, so I likely will not purchase.
Well, I don't know how much mine costs, but if I see them again, I'll try and buy some for you. I already have some, but I know I'll eat them, and I would probably eat the ones I bought for you as well. But I'm in Utah again next month, so you never know.
You never know indeed.
I think I like regular Skittles better, but I'm excited with the continued innovation of the candy aisle. El Chavito! Gomitas con chile!
Is that like a spicy gummy worm? I know it means spicy little worms, and since you were talking about candy, just guessing.
Yeah, bruh.
Little kids' spicy worms.
I ate them.
Nope, I don't think so.
They taste like gummies, but with a dust of chili powder. I like them, but not as much as Fritos.
Fritos!
Straight from the heartland, this is Things I Text My Brother. Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Things I Text My Brother, a series of conversations which have taken place between the brothers Drew Yard on subjects spanning the neighborhood and the globe, which will hopefully leave you smarter, kinder, and better looking. Today we're going to jump off from that dramatic reading that you just heard and discuss the topics therein. Maybe we'll talk about apothecaries. Maybe we'll talk about confectionaries. Maybe we'll talk about dragée, orange slices, drug wars, Girl Scouts, or original lime Skittles. But we haven't plotted an exact course because we want you to join us on that journey. That's how it works on Things I Text My Brother. I'm Jeff. This is Brad. Let's talk about our texts. But before we have a sweet conversation about that text exchange we had moments ago, we need to take a look back because it's always important to make time to cleanse ourselves of our past sins and to continue our boundless quest for self-improvement through worthless information. Thus, it's time for ablutions and edification. Well, Brother Brad, we've been perfect lately, so we're going to get right to the edification. How's that sound?
I agree.
Yes, in our most recent episode, episode 18, where we talked all about whales chomping on things. Do you remember that episode?
I do. Pinocchio and Geppetto and Jonah and all those guys.
Absolutely, it was all in there. And at some point, we were talking about people with bad luck, and I don't really even recall why. We were talking about a woman who had a very unfortunate experience while attending the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. As it turns out, this woman was 33-year-old Kathleen, I believe it's Corona with two N's. She was attending the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in 1997 on a day in which the New York City Police Department expressed concern about high winds. And the parade went on. Macy's said, "We got it covered." Well, Kathleen was standing there on 72nd Street in the Upper West Side when the 6-story Cat in the Hat balloon got blown over by a 40-mile-per-hour wind into a lamppost. The lamppost broke and pieces of that fell down and actually hit Kathleen. It caused her a massive head injury. In fact, she was in a coma for 24 days, came out of it right before Christmas, but experienced injuries that would impact her for a long, long time. So very reasonably, she sued the city, sued the lamppost company, and of course sued Macy's, the sponsor of the parade. The total number was something like $395 million. And in 2001, she settled with some combination of those entities for an undisclosed amount. But I was saying that she had really bad luck because not only did that happen to her, she would move to an apartment on the Upper East Side, so the opposite side of Central Park, on 72nd Street, right over near the East River. And in 2006, this very unlucky woman had another incredibly bad bit of luck when a student pilot who happened to be a pitcher for the New York Yankees, his name was Corey Lytle, was flying with his flight instructor. They did a little loop around the Statue of Liberty, flew up the East River, and got caught up again in some bad wind. The plane crashed into an apartment building known as the Bel Air Apartments, a direct impact on several apartments, but the engine of that plane ended up in the bedroom of Kathleen Corona. Fortunately, she wasn't there, so she didn't experience any injury related to this, but of course there was a massive fire, and it just is a really, really incredible spell of bad luck. The baseball player and his flight instructor were both killed. Fortunately, Kathleen survived this one. But I had said that I would steer clear of Kathleen Really, I think she should steer clear of 72nd Street.
I was gonna say, why did she think it was a good idea to live on 72nd Street? But the other thing, she sued the lamppost company? What did they do wrong?
They built a lamppost that was not able to sustain its structural integrity amongst an assault from a 6-story tall cat in the hat in 40-mile-per-hour winds.
Ugh, the cat in the hat knows a lot about that, I guess.
Well, I think we're edified, don't you?
I have learned something new.
Perfect. Well, Brother Brad, now that we've been edified about people who have even worse luck than you, it's time to go back to our original text exchange about freeze-dried Skittles and candy that has chili powder on it and all that good stuff. What do you have to say?
First, you indicated in your text that you may not bring Fritos, but you outdid yourself and you did bring some Fritos.
Yes, audience. I brought Fritos to a family gathering around a campfire.
It wasn't around a campfire.
Well, whatever.
Anyway, gotta say they were underwhelming. It was like eating crunchy, stale candy. I don't know.
Definitely a texture change.
While Fritos were disappointing, one of the best things that has happened in my life in the past couple of years is that Skittles has returned to the original lime up. Boop, boop, boop.
Mm-hmm.
I have been sending emails on a regular basis to the manufacturers of Skittles.
You have?
To tell them that their decision was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I sent an email early on when they made the switch to green apple from lime, which was just a mind-boggling, atrocious decision.
Just bad.
And I wrote to the Skittles company, and I'm like, hey, this is very disappointing. I wasn't rude. I didn't swear, even though I often do in life, because I knew the person reading it didn't make the decision. So I sent this email, and I knew it wouldn't make any difference, but it was my way to vent. The first email I sent, I got a response back. You know, it had a paragraph with the form letter. Thank you for your feedback. We're sorry to hear that this has caused you a problem. But I had said in my email that I eat a pound of Skittles a week at least, which was probably true then. Probably true. I got a pound bag. It was probably more than a pound. And the person who responded to me took the time to write a specific letter to me, a second paragraph that said, I'm sorry to hear about your disappointment, but as a mother, I'm extremely concerned about your level of Skittles intake.
Wait, this person worked for Skittles?
Yes.
They should have been giving you a trophy.
And I felt so happy that I got a personal response, even if it was questioning my life choices.
Yeah. I have to agree with you that the Fritos are not as good as the normal Skittles. Now, the process of freeze-drying candy is something that's got a big uptick in the past couple years. It's been trending with TikTok and influencers and all that kind of stuff, just as you'd expect. You're just taking the candy, you're lowering the pressure, you're removing the ice by sublimation. Brad, explain the process of sublimation to people.
Sublimation is when you remove lime from your Skittles lineup and you turn it into green apple. And it's subversive and unnecessary.
Exactly that. Another definition for it would be that you are taking a solid and turning it into a vapor or a gas without it transitioning through the liquid phase. You're removing the ice as a vapor from the candy. What you get in the case of Skittles or other candy that you could do this freeze-drying process with, which would be saltwater taffy, Jolly Ranchers, gummy bears, sweet tarts, Starburst, people are using all those as well. What you end up with is a crunchy experience rather than the hard candy or a chewy candy, and you end up with this Cheeto of a candy, crunchy. You change its shelf life to about 25 years. In my opinion, at least with the Fritos, take away a little bit of my enjoyment, which I think is unfortunate. Have you had any other freeze-dried candy, Brad?
I don't believe I've had any other freeze-dried anythings that I can think of. There was, I think, a thing where people were doing like freeze-dried Cheeto puffs, you know, cheesy puffs. What are those things called?
Cheetos? Cheese puffs? I don't know.
The cheese puffs, I guess.
The ones that come in the big barrel?
Well, I don't know if it came in a barrel.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, they come in a big barrel originally. Yes. I thought you meant after they were freeze-dried.
No, cheese puffs should always come in a big barrel that you can dump straight into your head.
Yeah, it was at the mall. They had a thing where they were like freeze-drying them, and then people were buying them and eating them, like $5 for a small cup of them. But I've never tried them. I don't know that I've had freeze-dried anything that I can think of.
You did mention in there cheese puffs or Cheetos. That can take us a little bit into the other part of the original text exchange, which was talking about dulce enchilados or chilitos, which is this chili candy that I was talking about with the gummies that I experienced. Before we get into a lot of other stuff with that, the reason I was just thinking of this is because there's one woman who's working in this genre. She started producing chilitos or chili candy during the pandemic. And she now makes a bunch of different things, and she's trying to keep a leg up on the competition. So one of her creations is a fruit roll-up pickle. What do you think of that?
I don't understand that.
Let me explain it.
Yes, I need an explanation.
You take a pickle. Were you expecting that part?
No, not necessarily.
Well, you take a pickle, you douse it in chamoy, the sweet, spicy paste made from pickled fruit and chiles. You smother it in chili powder. Then you chop it up into chunks. Then you toss it with Chilito covered fruit roll up bits and hot Cheetos. And then you top it with more chili powder. Does this sound good to you?
You lost me at pickle.
Yes, that's where I'm lost in this too. I once knew a person who liked pickles, and that person is no longer a significant part of my life.
I think that Mother Glenda is a fan of pickles.
That's exactly who I was talking about. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Mom is one of the tens of listeners to this podcast. She's one of our American listeners. Mom, I love you.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear it because last time I checked, there wasn't a falling out.
Anyway, when I was looking into all of this, I got really interested in the gomitas con chile part of our conversation, and it led me down a road that is another thing that's booming in the same way that the freeze-dried candies are booming, especially with social media and all that. These dulce enchilados are booming as well. Now, Chilito candies, chamoy, these kind of candies have been popular in Mexico for decades, but I was reading an article in TexasMonthly.com. The article is entitled Inside the Red Hot Rise of Chilito Candy by a guy named Luis Rendon from March 2021. He talked to a person named Christopher Carmona, who's the director of Mexican American Studies at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. And Christopher Carmona was saying that the drug wars in the early aughts started pushing Mexican candy shops over the border into the Texas border towns. And because of this, people started to become familiar with these Chilito candies that have been around. And they started to gain a little bit of traction. But then during the pandemic, a lot of people who were at home just started really experimenting with these things, taking Gushers and gummies and Sour Patch Kids and peach rings and Twizzlers and Red Vines and Nerd Ropes. And they would dip them into a concoction of powdered sugar and this chamoy sauce, mix them all around. Then they'd add chili powder and or tajin, which is a Mexican blend of spices like lime and chiles and salt. And they would come up with these products. It was actually pretty interesting. Candy has developed for millennia and for centuries in all different ways, but this surge was based on social media. So you have these high school students, like a woman named Paloma Beltran. She was in high school and she ended up experimenting and shipping her product, these Chilito Loco candies, all over the world and developed over 300,000 followers on TikTok in the process by the time the article I read came out. There was a brother and sister, JJ and Ruby. Ruby was still in high school. JJ and Ruby Jimenez. And Chili Soto's treats, they're doing the same thing, shipping around the world before she even graduates high school. And social media, getting different influencers on board with their products is leading them to become these entrepreneurs overnight from their own homes and competing with some of the big candy companies in certain markets. It's really kind of incredible what different technologies and things have created different types of candies and different trends in candies over the years. And it's not limited just to now. I was actually watching a documentary recently which was talking about donuts. And it was actually the Khmer Rouge forcing out a lot of people who became immigrants to the United States from Cambodia in the late 1970s and 1980s. One of them started basically an empire of donut shops. And now the next generation, their kids and their kids' kids are starting to take those donut shops that are kind of falling apart a little bit. And it's their kids and grandkids who are now introducing social media into those donut shops and creating the next level of innovation, which is that social media interactive, high design type of donut.
The cronut?
Yeah, cronuts. The same kind of thing is happening with candy too. So I just thought it was really interesting how these trends in candy can change.
I don't believe you that Paloma is a real person. Paloma is the Spanish word for dove, you know. So Dove is a chocolate company. I think Paloma is a front. I'm running with it. Dove is actually the maker of the Paloma candy.
Well, you say whatever you believe, but the Chinese traders, they brought their pickled apricots to Mexico as early as the 16th century, and the chamoy has been buzzing around a lot of the time since, and Paloma Beltran is a person who is putting that ancient idea into good use in a modern product and conveying it to the world via social media.
Fine. And there's lots of interesting candy flavors all around. I'm not personally a fan of spicy chocolates or spicy candy. I once went to a grocery store and I saw that milk chocolate covered almonds were on sale for half off, and I was super stoked, and I bought them, and I got home and I was eating them, and I ate one and I said, man, this tastes off. Then I ate another one and this still tastes off. They taste okay when you first bite in them, but the after, it's like burning me. It's terrible. And then I realized I had purchased Chipotle milk chocolate almonds and I had to dispose of the bag, and I'm super cheap, and that made me super angry.
That's assault, brother.
It was terrible. It was a terrible decision. But I didn't do a whole lot of research for the show because, frankly, we could do every show on candy and probably fill a half hour because it's kind of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But I started to look up weird flavors of candy. And the more I looked into it, the more I felt like it's not really that they're weird flavors. It's just that they're local flavors and they're not appealing to me. Would I want to eat squid candy? No, but it might be a regionalism for certain people. One place I will say that I won't do that, Hershey came out 2017 or something with a Flavors of America line that I don't remember. They did 6 different states and they did their famous candies in different flavors. And one of them was a barbecue payday to honor Texas. First of all, I don't know that I even consider payday a candy bar. I think it's a snack bar, like a Take 5. Everybody's like, Take 5 is the best candy bar. That's a snack bar. It's not a candy bar.
Those are fighting words. One of our tens of listeners is hearing you say that right now, and they are angry.
I don't know. Just because it has chocolate doesn't make it candy. But yeah, a barbecue payday, no, it just doesn't work.
I was thinking, what more can we do with candy? Because candy, of course, has changed throughout history, whether you're talking about ancient China and the Middle East and Egyptians and Greeks and basically their honey-based sweets, fruits, nuts, flowers rolled in candy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we do have some products that resemble those today, we've certainly advanced a lot since then. And so the modern developments aren't figuring out how to use sugarcane like people in India and Papua New Guinea were doing thousands of years ago. Modern innovations in candy are often taking candy that already exists and trying to change that. So I found a site that was listing a lot of years. The premise was your birth year, what candy came out. Although it skipped a lot of years. Your birth year didn't have one listed. Sorry to say.
Classic.
In my birth year, 1979, Ring Pops came out, which is pretty lame.
What? No. Ring Pops are not lame.
What?
Ring Pops are awesome.
No, Ring Pops are lame. Let's move on.
You're lame. You're lame.
Do you mean lame?
I don't.
What is lame?
I don't know, so I don't mean lame.
I think it's a fabric. I believe I've seen it on Drag Race, but I don't know what it is.
Well, there you go. I should know that because I would sell it in my factory store.
Spawn of Satin. Yep. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about there, Spawn of Satin was mentioned in one of our previous episodes. I don't know which one, so go listen to them all. In 1980, Big League Chew came out. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Other things in our lifetime that were coming out, Nerds in 83, Starburst Jelly Beans in 95 kind of starts a trend towards not really the base candy coming out, but some kind of variation on it, which is continued. 2012, Nestle Crunch teams up with the Girl Scouts with a Nestle Crunch Thin Mints candy bar, which I didn't know existed. And now we're doing that kind of thing. Hershey's candy corn bars in 2015.
Right.
Fudge brownie M&Ms, continuing a list of all these other types of M&Ms in 2020. So that seems to be where candy is going now. We're just changing the candy we already have. Is there room for an original idea, brother? Can we create something that's so different that it's not even a genre we have? Or is this all we get anymore, just variations?
I think 3D printed candy will allow people to do some interesting things.
Oh.
3D printing food, of course, is going to be a thing here. It is a thing, but it's going to be a thing.
Interesting.
I don't know. That's one place that I would think of.
Do you think that some of the new candy will be more of a bringing back the classics kind of thing? I ask that because we're talking about current candies that are literally trending on social media, like the dulce enchiladas and the freeze-dried candy. Well, trending in the early 1900s, potato candy. Are you interested in that?
I'm not interested in potato candy or wasabi flavored candy, for that matter.
Sugary mashed potatoes with a peanut butter filling. Imagine a rolled up loaf like you see people making on the Great British Bake Off. Only the rolled up loaf is made somehow out of potatoes with peanut butter filling. Very popular during the Great Depression. Disputed origins. A lot of people say it comes from German or Irish families coming over here, maybe even the Pennsylvania Dutch. But it sounds absolutely disgusting. So maybe the future of candy is the past. Maybe it's potato candy Or maybe candy cigarettes will come back.
And bubblegum cigars, yeah.
Bubblegum cigars. This also got me thinking about wax lips.
Yes,
They were around when we were kids. Wax lips were always with the candy.
they were.
Wax lips aren't candy. They're paraffin wax. They're not even edible. I think petroleum companies made them. Like, well, why? How did wax lips become a candy thing?
I think because they had those, remember they had the wax pop bottles that had the flavored liquids in?
Oh, but at least those had a flavor in them.
But you couldn't eat the outside. I used to chew the top off and I would drink the juice and then I would just chew on the wax for a few hours.
I certainly gave it my best shot to eat those things. I'm sure I swallowed more than a few of them. I swallowed almost as many of them as baleen whales swallow humans.
Oh, there you go. Engulfed and not swallowed.
Yep.
I don't know. I was thinking about this a little bit and I was trying to think about my earliest memories with candy. And I always remember going over to Grandpa Doc's house and eating orange slices. That was a good memory.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going into like Sears or some other department stores and you would walk in and they would have the counter that had candy and they were roasting peanuts and it smelled so good. And I was thinking about a candy that I used to love that I rarely get now, but I still love it. It's French burnt peanuts. Do you have a candy that when you were a kid, you just loved, you still eat on occasion because you still like it, but it's not one you eat all the time?
Gosh, I can't remember any candy from my childhood that I don't go back to now with regularity. It's probably because I haven't actually matured into an adult. Laffy Taffy was big with me as a kid. I'll still eat Laffy Taffy.
Yeah, same.
It had glitter in for a while. That was cool. The other candies are still around. It's Starburst, it's Skittles. I eat more gummies now than I ever have. I don't think there's one that I can recall eating as a kid that I wouldn't and don't eat just as often now.
Yeah. French burnt peanuts is mine. I remember Dad used to eat those. And French burnt peanuts actually are a type of candy called a dragée.
Dragée?
A dragée. A dragée is a French candy that is a center covered in a sugared shell. What popular candy is actually a dragée?
No clue.
M&M's, because they're chocolate covered in a sugared shell.
Oh, I believe that Tommy Callahan once told Richard...
Big Tom Callahan or Little Tom Callahan?
Little Tom Callahan once told Richard that when candy gets spilled into the interior of your car dashboard, it's okay because they have a thin candy shell.
And they do. And they came out because Forrest Mars traveled to Spain during the Spanish Civil War and saw Spanish soldiers enjoying dragée and realized it might be a thing. But at the same time, on the same trip with Forrest Mars was actually George Harris, who was of the Nestle company. They were good friends. He also saw the dragée at the same time and also thought it was a good idea and created something called Smarties that are also chocolate covered in a thin candy shell. And I learned of Smarties being that.
Yeah, UK Smarties.
Yeah, I only learned of that because I went to Canada on a business trip and I went around all day, walked all around Toronto, did all this stuff. And I saw there's a Dairy Queen next to my hotel. So I was walking back to my hotel at like 9:30 at night. I was like, I'm going to get a M&M Blizzard to end my day. It's going to be the perfect day. And I get there and I'm looking at the sign and I'm like, there's no M&M Blizzards. But they have Smarties Blizzards. Who in God's name would eat a Smarties Blizzard?
That's right.
No, thank you. So I ended up going with a peanut butter cup Blizzard, which was highly disappointing when I had M&M Blizzard in my mind.
Oh, peanut butter cup was my first choice anyway, so wrong call, but continue.
And then I went to a candy store and saw Smarties and realized that that's basically a Canadian M&M and that Canadian Smarties are actually rockets. And I learned all this. So a little bit of a helpful hint to any folks traveling to Canada. And our Canadian listeners already know this, but this goes out to you, Ben. We know you know.
I think I discovered the whole Smarties being different thing when I was studying in England briefly. The other candy I ate a lot there were wine gums, which you can get over here, not a big deal. But one thing that was interesting about wine gums, when I ate certain brands of wine gums, they actually made my lips numb. But it was kind of a nice sensation.
Interesting. As we like to do on Things I Text My Brother. Text I Send My Brother? What is the name for it? Text I Send My Brother. Things I Text My Brother.
Brad, this is episode 19.
Oh my God. This is episode 19. Things I Text My Brother.
Once you add our special 50th anniversary episode, we've completed a score of podcasts. You're unaware of the name.
Oh, a score. Excellent. That's also a crappy candy bar. Score.
Oh, wow. Synergy.
Things I Text My Brother. As we like to do on our show, here's a little quiz for you of candy that is either named something else now or is named something else someplace else. Sticking with Canada, what is a special crisp in the United States if it's a special crisp in Canada?
Any candy bar that accentuates the term crisp is crap. I don't like it.
It's a whatchamacallit.
Oh, that's probably actually okay.
Yeah, it is okay. Side note, Hershey also once made a thingamajig. I don't remember it. It didn't last long. But they reintroduced it in 2021 and had a naming contest, and I missed all of this. The winner of the naming contest got $5,000, a year's supply of the candy bar, and Lisa M., who won the contest, also has her name on the candy bar. Its name is Whoozy What's It.
Perfect.
Yeah. Marathon Bar. What is it known as today?
Marathon is a gas station in the Midwest of the United States. So it is petroleum candy.
It is a Snickers.
Oh, I was close.
Opal Fruits.
Opal. Opal is like an octogenarian.
It changed its name at one point to M&M Chewies. Does that help?
Nope.
Starburst.
M&M Chewies?
Yeah. They were called Opal Fruits, then briefly M&M Chewies, and then became Starburst.
I love Opal Fruits then.
Me too. Raider Bar.
Raider Bar. No clue.
Twix. Galaxy.
Galaxy Mars Bar. No, that's named after Forrest Mars, which I never knew.
Dove, actually, is Galaxy.
I've never had a Dove bar. Here's my quiz for you.
Yeah.
I put in the word candy into Google Translate to learn what the first result for candy is in a bunch of different languages. I'm going to test you. I will actually pronounce the candy to the best of my ability based on Google Translate, and you tell me what language it's in. The first one, des bonbons.
Bonbon, French.
Yep, gave you an easy one there. Dulce.
Dulce, that would be Spanish.
Halloween.
Halloween.
I am undoubtedly pronouncing that wrong, which doesn't help, but Halloween.
Swedish.
Nope, Arabic.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think I'm even close on that one. Tangwa.
Tongan.
Chinese.
Oh.
Nami.
Indian?
Icelandic.
Oh.
Here's an easy one. Süßigkeit.
German.
Yep. How about dulces?
Portuguese.
Latin, which I guess it's actually the Latin word for sweet. So that was one of the early names applied to candy. Kyandy.
Gaelic.
Japanese.
Not even close.
Confiete.
Russian.
Ding, 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 ding. You got 3 out of 9.
Hey-oh.
I don't know how many I asked you, and I don't know how many you got. But I'm giving you...
Well, that would be 33%. If I was playing baseball, that would be reasonable.
Yeah, but we're not playing baseball, Brad. We're playing candy, and I expect more from you.
Me too. I'm quite disappointed in myself.
Well, Brother Brad, one half of the parental partnership that helped to generate our appreciation for candy is our father Art. Let's ask him some questions.
Do you recall any candy that you loved when you were a little guy?
I liked it all. I liked it all. And my teeth are proof of that.
Your teeth are proof you didn't grow up in Elmo. Do you think freeze-drying Skittles is taking it too far?
Yes.
Have you tried a freeze-dried Skittle?
No.
Do you like regular Skittles?
So.
How angry were you when Skittles replaced lime with green apple in 2013?
It didn't affect my life at all.
Not at all. That's disappointing. It almost destroyed mine.
I know. I'm aware of that. But...
All right, we're going to test you on your Spanish knowledge.
Oh, God.
¿Qué son gomitas con chile?
Ah.
We're talking about candy here, so that should give you some hint.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Some kind of candy with jalapeno on it.
Good. Gomitas. Gomas are worms.
Oh, gummy worms?
They're like gummy worms with chile flavor.
Oh.
Yeah. Gomitas con chile. Of all the candy available, which is your favorite?
Candy corn.
You love candy corn? That's your favorite?
No, it's not my favorite.
Oh, I thought Necco wafers were your favorite.
Ask it again.
Of all the candy, which is your favorite?
Candy corn and Necco wafers.
Well, folks, now that we've heard from Father Art, it means that our time together is coming to an end for this episode. We've said just about everything we're prepared to say about pickles, the Khmer Rouge, sublimation, Forest Mars, the Spanish Civil War, and TikTok influencers. But fear not, just as soon as we can dig back into the archives and find another gem of a text exchange, there will be another episode coming your way. In the meantime, you can head over to our Instagram page at Things I Text My Brother Podcast to drop us a note about what you liked or what you didn't like, or to tell us about something that we got totally wrong. You might even have enough time to go tell a friend, an enemy, and a total stranger to give us a listen as well. If you manage to do any of that, the fraternity of Drew Yards will be forever grateful. But most importantly, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Kids, if you're listening, eat candy. Nothing wrong with that.
I was going to say this and I forgot, but I'm just going to say it to you. When when they came back with the original lineup Skittles, I bought a bag and was enjoying it while watching a movie and fell asleep on the couch. And I woke up in the morning and I put away the Skittle bag. And later that afternoon, I saw a green Skittle sitting on the counter and I ate it. It was an M&M. I have no idea where it came from.
Shannon constantly questions that I will just pick up random things off of a chair or a floor or beneath a cushion and just eat it to find out what it is. Especially when living with animals, that's not the best thing to do. One time I found a gummy, I don't know if it was a gummy worm or a gummy bear, but it was in like a coat pocket that I hadn't worn for like 2 years, and I definitely ate it, and it was totally fine.